Let's talk about a space we all live in now, a place that promises us the entire world, but can sometimes feel more like a prison. Let's talk about the digital cage. All right, I want to ask you something. Think about your morning routine. The alarm goes off, your eyes crack open. What is the very, very first thing your hand reaches for? Be honest. Yeah, because for most of us, it's not a person. It's not a glass of water or a book on the nightstand. It's our phone. It's the first thing we greet in the morning. And you know what? It's usually the last thing we say goodnight to. This little piece of glass has become our most constant companion. But how deep does this connection really go? Let's pull back the curtain and look at the actual data, because the numbers, well, they paint a pretty startling picture. Here we go. According to a 2024 survey, this is how much time the average American spends on their phone. Every single day. 5 hours and 16 minutes. Just let that sink in for a second. That's over 36 hours a week. That is almost a full-time job spent just staring at a screen. Now, to put that number into perspective, health experts say we should aim for a maximum of 2 hours of this kind of screen time per day. So most of us aren't just going over the limit, we're more than doubling it. And that's before we even think about turning on a TV or opening up a laptop. And look, this isn't just about wasted time. All of this constant digital noise is having a real physical effect on our brain chemistry. It is actively, literally rewiring the neural pathways that control things like our focus and our decision-making. To get why this happens, we have to talk about a little chemical called dopamine. You can think of it as your brain's reward system. It's what makes you feel good. It's that little internal voice that says, hey, that was great, you should do that again. It's absolutely key for motivation and pleasure. And here's the thing. Our phones have become absolute masters at hijacking that system. Every buzz, every notification, every like, it gives us a tiny little hit of dopamine. It creates this powerful loop that keeps us coming back for more, constantly checking, constantly scrolling, afraid we're going to miss something. So what does that actually feel like in the real world? Well, research from Frontiers in Psychiatry breaks it down perfectly. You've got withdrawal. That's that panicky, lonely feeling when you can't find your phone. Then there are the mood changes. Getting anxious or just plain grumpy when you don't have a signal. And salience. That's when the phone becomes so important, so present in your mind, that you can't concentrate on anything else. Sound it all familiar? The long-term consequences of this are frankly pretty scary. Study after study links this kind of problematic phone use to some serious issues. Our sleep gets worse. Rates of anxiety and depression go up. We become more impulsive, and our ability to just focus on one thing, well, it takes a nosedive. We are paying a really high price for being constantly connected. But just as the picture starts to look a little bleak, something fascinating is happening. A quiet rebellion is starting to brew, and it's coming from the generation you'd least expect. We're talking about Gen Z. Think about it. They're the first generation of true mobile natives. These are people who have never known a world without the internet in their pocket. For them, a smartphone isn't just a gadget, it's always been a part of who they are. So what happens when the generation that was practically raised by the algorithm decides they've had enough? They're fighting back by going analog. A growing number of them are actually trading in their $1,000 supercomputers for so-called dumb phones. Basic phones that just call and text. That's it. And look at the difference here. It's a very deliberate choice. They're swapping the endless scroll for something with a hard limit. They're trading the constant barrage of notifications for intentional, real connection. They're choosing to focus on real life instead of an algorithmic feed, and they're finding a little digital peace. It's a huge rejection of the entire attention economy. But you know what? This rebellion isn't just for Gen Z. It's for any of us who feel a little trapped by that glowing screen. So let's talk about how we can take a page from their book and start reclaiming our own lives. And let's be super clear. The goal here isn't to go full-on Luddite and smash your phone. It's not about quitting technology. It is about taking control. It's about deciding when and how you want to use it, instead of letting it use you. So, where do you start? Okay, here are 5 super practical steps. 1. Set phone-free times, like at the dinner table. 2. Get the phone out of your bedroom. Seriously, this one is a game changer for your sleep. 3. Have a plan for what to do instead of scrolling. Read a book, go for a walk. 4. Delete the social media apps from your phone. You can still check them on a computer, but it makes it a deliberate act. And 5. Just start limiting your checks. Try once every 15 minutes, then stretch it to 30. It's all about building new habits, one small step at a time. 2,617. Yeah, you heard that right. According to researchers, that's how many times the average person touches their phone every single day. I mean, that's not a typo. It adds up to over 3 hours a day. And get this, a lot of us are checking our phones again within just 3 minutes of the last time we put it down. So, okay, if we know we're doing it this much, why is it so ridiculously hard to just stop? Well, let me tell you, this isn't some kind of personal failure of willpower. Not at all. Our devices and the apps on them are literally designed to be addictive. They create this constant little stream of dopamine hits that just keeps our brains coming back for more. It's a struggle pretty much everyone is facing right now. All right, so this isn't just about wasting a few hours here and there. This constant on, always connected lifestyle, it comes with a real cost to our well-being. So let's actually dig into why this matters so much, both for our minds and for our bodies. Think about it. Every single time a notification pings, or you do that quick, mindless scroll through a feed, you're essentially splitting your brain's focus. And all that multitasking, it's not efficient. It's actually causing something experts call cognitive fatigue. It literally decreases our overall mental performance, and that makes it harder to solve problems, be creative, and even just remember important stuff. And the mental toll it's huge. Study after study has shown a really clear link between smartphone addiction and a rise in anxiety, depression, and even loneliness. It messes with our sleep, it makes our face-to-face conversations feel less meaningful, and it fuels that fear of missing out, that FOMO, that ironically just leaves us feeling more disconnected than ever. And it's not just in our heads, not by a long shot. The physical effects are just as startling. I mean, look at these numbers. One study found that almost 68% of smartphone users experience neck pain. Over 62% report eye strain. Nearly 40% are dealing with shoulder pain. It's even linked to a higher risk of obesity just because of all that sedentary time it encourages. Okay, that's enough of the doom and gloom. Let's get into the solution, because there absolutely is one. The first two steps are all about making your phone way less appealing to your brain and adding just a little bit of difficulty, a little bit of friction to that mindless act of just picking it up. So this first trick is one of my favorites because it's so simple, but wow, is it effective. Just go into your phone's accessibility settings and switch your screen to grayscale. See, all those super vibrant, colorful app icons, they're designed to be like candy for your brain. It's a reward. When you strip all that color away, you take away a huge chunk of that subconscious temptation. Your phone just instantly becomes more of a tool and a lot more, well, boring. Okay, this next idea is just brilliant. You take a simple hairband and you wrap it right around the middle of your phone. You can still answer calls, sure, but to do pretty much anything else, you have to physically move the band out of the way. And as Brad Soroka puts it, that simple little action forces a pause. It makes you ask yourself, wait, why am I picking this up right now? What's my intention here? It's genius. All right, let's move on to our next set of habits. Once you've made your phone less tempting, the next big step is all about reclaiming your physical space and your time. And you do that by setting some really clear, non-negotiable rules for your devices. And here's exactly how to do it. You designate screen-free zones. The dinner table is a great one. The bedroom, this one is absolutely critical. Seriously, buy a cheap alarm clock. When you get home from work, try putting your phone in a drawer so you can be fully present. And then create time boundaries. Maybe wait 30 minutes after you wake up before you check it, and set a digital sunset by putting it away an hour before you plan to go to sleep. Now, the goal here isn't to demonize technology. I mean, it's an amazing tool, right? The key is to shift our whole relationship with it, to go from being reactive, where it's constantly grabbing our attention, to being intentional, where we're the ones in control. So here's the crucial point to remember. Think of all these little habits as speed bumps, not barricades. We're not trying to make your phone impossible to use. We're just creating these tiny little pauses that force a moment of reflection. And in that tiny gap, that's where you get your control back. That's where you can make a conscious choice instead of just an automatic one. This right here, this is the core mindset shift we're all aiming for. You know, a hammer is a tool. You pick it up when you need to hang a picture, and you put it down when you're done. Your phone should be the exact same. It's when we start treating it like this constant companion that we have to carry everywhere. That's when we lose our focus, that's when we lose our freedom. So you've done all this work, and you've created all this new space in your day. Awesome. But an empty void can be really tempting to fill with that old, comfortable habit of scrolling. So, our final and maybe most important step is to proactively fill that time with compelling, screen free alternatives. And you have so many amazing options here. I mean, instead of scrolling, just go for a walk. Pick up that book that's been sitting on your nightstand for 6 months. Try a new recipe. Call a friend and have a real conversation. These kinds of activities don't just fill time. They actively reduce stress, they spark creativity, and they add real joy back into your life. So there you have it. We've walked through the why this is happening and the how to fix it. Now, let's put it all together into one simple, clear action plan that you can literally start using today. Here it is, your plan for digital freedom. Number 1, turn off all but the most essential notifications. 2, make your screen boring with grayscale. 3, add a physical speed bump, like that hairband trick. 4 and 5, create screen-free zones and set clear times when your phone is off limits. 6, physically put it out of sight. And finally, number 7, fill all that new time with hobbies you actually love. These small habits, they can give you back hours in your day and a massive amount of mental energy. So the only question left is, well, it's the most exciting one. Now that you have your time and your focus back, what are you going to do with it?